Today I filed my 8th annual report as Information and Privacy Commissioner, and the theme of this report is It's Time for a Digital ID. In this short video, I'd like to touch on and elaborate upon the reasons why I made that a theme. I then would like to touch on 3 other points that we cover in our annual report. Digital ID, digital credentials, it goes by various names, but it really is something that has become extremely important because of the pandemic. So many of us, so many Saskatchewan citizens have become used to obtaining services online. And the service providers need to know when you say who you are, that you are in fact that person. That's what's generally referred to as a digital ID. It can surface as a physical card that goes in your physical wallet, or it can be an ID, an electronic ID that is in your wallet on your phone. Either way, or both, it's what people do refer to as digital credentials or a digital ID. There are certain understandings or essentials that I believe are important for a digital ID. Number one, that it is voluntary for the citizen. Put another way, it is not mandatory. It also is important that it is in the control of the citizen. In other words, the citizen has the ID in his or her wallet and decides who they will show it to and who they choose not to show it to. And that's the case whether it's in your wallet or on your phone. You can choose to disengage and no longer have a digital ID. And when you do, it should be easy to achieve that, and your data should be deleted. So those are some of the basic understandings. You can see more understandings about a digital ID in our annual report. Now, with every tool that comes along, when there are important benefits, there are risks. And we talk about some of the risks in the report. But some of them also include that other provinces are studying this too. And the federal government is encouraging provinces to develop digital IDs. One concern is that if other governments develop a digital ID, Saskatchewan would be forced to go along and wouldn't have the ability and flexibility to design a digital ID that meets the needs of Saskatchewan citizens. There's also the concern of big tech, and certain announcements would suggest that soon there will be digital credentials offered by Microsoft. And if we have large tech companies outside our country designing digital IDs, we will lose total control. Other provinces are studying this, as I've said. Ontario has announced that it is studying and developing it. Quebec has done so. BC has a digital ID, and Alberta has had a digital ID since 2017. I hope and I encourage our province will continue to study, consult, educate, inform people what the digital ID would do and what it would not do, and that in due course we have a Made in Saskatchewan digital ID. So please read the report and think about this very important issue where now we want and expect so many of our services online, and people need to know that we are who we say we are. As I said at the beginning, we've touched upon 3 other issues in our report, and one of those deals with virtual healthcare platforms. The pandemic has resulted in health professionals providing services online. Patients can be in their home. They don't have to drive to the clinic to get the service. This is of particular benefit to seniors, persons with disabilities, or persons that are a long way from the clinic geographically, 100 or 200 miles. Some 62 companies have developed virtual healthcare platforms in our country. And it's extremely important that we, as patients, as health professionals, know what we are doing and what we are committing to when we agree to virtual care online, whether we sign up as an account or a patient or whatever it may be. In our annual report, we've outlined 10 concerns and expectations and would ask that all virtual care platforms take these into account, and that health professionals and patients take these into account when they are deciding whether to sign up for a particular service. Please take a look at that in our annual report. The second extra issue that I want to talk about is misdirected faxes. The previous commissioner in about 2014 issued a report on misdirected faxes. What do I mean by a misdirected fax? A fax with personal health information going to the wrong fax machine. This is clearly a breach and can be a breach of very serious health data, and it can in fact delay the provision of health treatment because the fax report has gone to the wrong place. My office has done another report in this last fiscal year that involves some 23 misdirected faxes. It is our recommendation that the SHA and the entire health community work on this extremely complex issue of misdirected faxes, and that we collectively find a much better way, a much safer way to send medical reports from place to place, clinic to clinic, or doctor to doctor. Finally, in this report, my office has issued some 850 reports while I've been commissioner. And in those reports, we make recommendations for legislative change. The Freedom of Information Act has been here for some 30 years. The Local Authorities Freedom of Information Act has been here for some 29 years. And it is time that these acts need a serious updating. We have made recommendations for change, and in this report, we try to summarize those recommendations. And I think it's extremely important that we look at the gaps, the problems, the challenges with our legislation as we have changed from a paper society to a digital society, and that we take steps to update our legislation. So I'd like to close by thanking the staff of my office for hard work during a pandemic and adjusting in our procedures so that we could continue to provide reports and provide advice to people. And I would like to encourage all of you watching this video to take a look at our annual report and read the sections that you have an interest in. Thank you very much.